Hey guys, Bobby here from Wedding Film School. Super excited to be back for our second, as of late, live review, live streams on YouTube here on the Wedding Film School channel. A few things to get out of the way. Today we are doing films. Last time we did websites and pricing, but if you want your films, website, or pricing to be reviewed, you can submit it on the link that I've posted in the chat. I will be posting that throughout as well. So be sure to do that. And please, if you are submitting a film, we of course need to license the music that is used, that you hopefully license for your film as well. Right now we can license through MusicBed and Soundstripe. We will work on getting some other options as well, but you need to send me the link, like paste the link in there, or at least give me the artist and the website that it's from. I'm probably not going to search around too much unless I recognize it or something. There were a couple today that I recognized. So, and then on that note as well, we have our memberships, which are live. You hit the little join button. It should be just right next to like subscribe, just bottom right of the video. That's going to get you some priority access in, in these live streams. So it will get your films or websites or what have you kind of to the top of the list. You'll always have priority, and there are different tiers of membership. Culminating with our top tier, which actually gets you just a straight up private review of one of your films each month, guaranteed. So for that, we might do it live, or we might just record something like this for you guys. Trying to provide some good benefits for our community. So again, if you want your films reviewed or your website or your pricing, hit the link, which I will post one more time here, and I'll probably post it throughout as well. And other than that, guys, just a big thing to note is I'll be talking through these films. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. I'm going to do about an hour, hour and a half, something like that. I'm just going to be giving you my thoughts as a wedding filmmaker for 14 years and just what's worked well for us. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right or wrong. A lot of this will be opinion based, but just hopefully providing you guys some feedback, some things to work on, some things I think you're doing really well, some maybe changes I would make, things like that. So yeah, super excited to go through this. Like I said, I've got about 5 or 6 videos lined up. If I don't get to yours, if you have submitted a film or something else and I haven't gotten to it, you do stay on our list. So I keep that list running, and you'll hopefully be in another live stream in the future, which we plan to do every few weeks. Although if you do want priority, if you want to guarantee, you can do our memberships, which start at just $5 a month. Gets you priority in these live streams, and also goes to help this community grow and build out even further. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our first one. And guys, one last thing, this is the first time that I have done the film live reviews. So I've done websites a handful of times, I've done pricing and stuff like that. If I'm missing something, like if you don't have audio or something like that, please tell me. I will try to figure it out. I've tested this. I think we're good to go, but we're going to find out here soon. So I wish I remembered who this first one is from. I think it's from Jeremy Kelly Studios, something like that. Hopefully we'll find out here. I don't have all of the information pulled up. I probably should have done that, but hopefully we'll see some logos and stuff in here. If it is yours, you will recognize it, of course. And even if this isn't your film, there's plenty that we can all learn from watching other people's films, from hearing critiques of other people's films. And if you guys have something to add too, like if I totally missed something, or you're like, oh, hey, I don't know, like I would have done this or whatever, like add it in the chat. Like this is a community effort. Whether you've been in the game for 2 decades or 2 years or even less than that, like people can learn from each other. I can learn from people with less experience. I can learn from people with more experience. It's not an experience thing. It's a community thing. So help us out. Add that in the chat too. Good. I see that the audio is fine. The next step is the audio fine when I am also playing a video. So here we go into our first one, and I will start it up here. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna say I really like the colors. I mean, granted we're 2 shots in. Yeah, I'd be curious. I don't know if you're whoever this is, if you're on right now, but I'd be curious to hear what you're using. If you're using a LUT or working off of one or what have you.
Yeah, Patrick, I've known that you were the man I was meant to marry since I was 17 years old. When I look back over the past 11 years, I see so much love and happiness, but also challenges and life lessons.
Really clean audio too.
Has had so many ups and downs.
I'd be curious if you mic the bride or not.
Today, and I wouldn't change a single moment.
I found you.
Cool little intro.
I see forever
so sorry, some of these different websites I can use like the space bar to pause, some I can't, whatever. So yeah, really cool, really good color so far. I really like that. Even like this, like you've got the sky exposed and stuff. Really good job with that. Cool little intro. I really like your ambient audio. There was like some laughing and stuff like that in the beginning. You could hear the fountain. Not only the use of it, which I think really brings the viewer into, like, where is the viewer, right? You're in this, well, you're in Houston, Texas, now we know. It looks like it may be a private estate. I don't know if it's like a wedding venue or just an estate or whatever, but it really brings the viewer into the atmosphere and the environment that they're in. I think you did a really great job with that. One thing I would maybe change, I don't really love this font. Like, you have a very, like, I don't want to say stylized, I don't think that's the right word for like your look, but like you have a distinct look so far, at least we're a minute in, with like I said, the colors and stuff like that. It just looks really good to me. This font just doesn't like fit that. I don't have a font to recommend to you. I don't even know what font this is. You could play around with like the tracking or the spacing or whatever it's called. That might help as well, like spread it out or maybe even make it smaller. I don't know, like there's just something with this font that, and that's like a super small detail, so you know, take that for what it's worth. But also these lens flares, I don't know if you added that in post or if you're just hitting something right, but it looks pretty sweet. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of flares in general, so
you're everything to me, darling. I can't believe we made.
So this shot right here, so I'm actually, again, you know, I wish I knew like if you were in here or not. If your guys' film comes up, tell me like what you're shooting on and stuff like that. Throw it in the comments. It might be in the description. I should maybe add it to the you know, to the thing you fill out if you want to submit. I would say this shot right here of the kick, it looks like you're maybe handheld or you might be on a gimbal. I love slow intentional movement, and you've done a great job of that. I was actually going to stop to say, with all those previous shots, you have very subtle movement, and that is, you know, whatever that movement is, you know, the intentionality behind it, you still get that because that movement exists, but you're not moving so fast that you take the viewer out of that environment that I've already commented on how well you've built it out. So this shot seemed a little faster. It's not fast by any means, but it's not as slow as your other shots, so just a thought. That's cool.
I met Patrick,
Again, I'd love to know that flare. It looks like some of this is at least real. I wonder if you added stuff to it as well.
I was with Kayla, standing outside of Kingwood High School, waiting to take the PSAT test, and I thought they already knew each other because they just acted like they were already really good friends. But at some point after they officially started dating, Kayla told me that someday she and Patrick were going to get married. So I'm so happy to see that, Kayla, your someday that you told me about so many years ago.
Good lighting on this. Looks like you got a light like kind of over here. Interesting like setup too, honestly. Like I don't know if that was your call or if that was, you know, what they wanted or just what happened. I'm assuming this is the best man that he'll be giving a speech as well, but good job like kind of working with what you've got and maybe what was given to you and getting good lighting, getting multiple angles. Multiple angles are key. You've got the reaction, which is great. You know, she said something funny and they're both cracking up, and then of course this angle that we saw. And the audio is pretty clean. Like I hear a little bit of static. I think your Val audio was cleaner. You know, I don't see, let's see, I don't see a mic on her. So I'm assuming, you know, DJ, and we all know how that goes. You know, you got to take what you're given sometime. You might be able to clean that up a little bit, but with the music, like, that's the thing, is you can cover it, and it's something that I would notice, you might notice, but most people aren't going to notice, especially clients, most importantly. And there's nothing like abrupt about it. I don't hear that like static, like just cutting in and out or anything like that. So
I was finally here.
let's keep going here. Actually, I did hear that static cut in and out, like right after I said it. So yeah, maybe fading those out even longer or something like that, if you can, just to try to make that a little more subtle.
Patrick since middle school.
Really
Feels
good
like it was
lighting
yesterday,
here.
But it was years ago, and they've been years filled with ups, downs, and Kayla. Kayla, I can't explain how much your friendship means to me. You've been a bright spot.
Okay, use the fountain noise again. We see the fountain, and I understand why you did that. My guess, and maybe this is intentional or not, but my guess is you wanted to mask some of that static that's coming from the audio a little bit, or that hissing or whatever. That actually took me out of that shot. So just an FYI, maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of just took me out of that shot and out of that environment a little bit. So really small critique again.
In my life since the first day I met you. You're always there to build people up.
That's a cool
and most
shot.
importantly,
Really good
you're
job with
perfect for
that.
Patrick. And Patrick is perfect for you. And you guys showed me that in 2009, and I still think that today, even more so.
Oh my god.
So I love the build-up you had right there. You had like, it wasn't complete silence, but kind of a moment of silence. That's something I talked about actually in, I think, my most recent editing video, or maybe I talk about it in a future one. So spoiler alert. But one of the things I really like to do with the music is use those kind of drop-offs in music to build out like some of the most emotional parts. So the first look is definitely up there. It can even be just impactful shots, like a really cool shot of the dress you could use, but you can also use that on like a high point of the music, of course. Walking down the aisle, the groom seeing the bride for the first time if they don't do a first look there. Even other things too, like their first dance, any emotional part of the day, which of course could be anything. One big thing here, you know, I always want to be hesitant to call out like focus and color issues on YouTube. Or anything, I guess, for that matter. This looks like they're out of focus. Looks like your focus is over here. I don't think that's a YouTube thing. I don't know if you'll, you know, grab it back here. I think we've been on this shot for like a second or two, so maybe you do pull the focus real quick. But that's tough. Like, I don't know if you're running. I think you were running multiple angles, but maybe you were just running around. No, there's another angle. So I would maybe, yeah, you know, sometimes you miss focus a little bit, and I think you can kind of cheat it and you can make it okay. This one's pretty apparent to me.
You look beautiful, Kayla.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it still works, and again, but like that, especially him seeing her, because you go from her walking. All right, I'm just gonna, and this too. She's like a tiny bit in focus, maybe. He's totally out of focus, and this is really where your focus is. Oops. All right, so hold on one second. I just hit something. All right, we're back. All right, so I'm gonna play through. So you go through him waiting, and then he turns around, but you don't see his reaction. So I think that you hear it, which is great, and maybe you cheated that audio. But this shot or this shot, those both would have been, I think, a better, you know, like you have her walking up and then he turns around and you see his reaction, because you don't see his actual reaction. And maybe it wasn't, you know, amazing, or like I said, maybe you cheated that audio of him saying, oh my god, you look so great, or whatever it was. So, you know, there's reasons to do that, and I totally understand why you might have, but just my thoughts. And then of course the focus issue.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
This is gonna be a me thing. I'm not a big user of slow motion. I shoot almost entirely in 24 or 30 frames per second. I don't have anything against it. I know why people use it, and I think it can look good, and I think actually plenty of your shots have looked great. Slowed down, I'm assuming you're shooting 60 or maybe 120. I'm not sure. Again, I don't know what you're shooting on. But like this shot, like the super slow motion going in for a kiss, to me, it feels like a little cheesy. Not that you can't have slow motion kissing or whatever, but like starting, this far out and like the whole, like slow, so slow going in. I don't know. Maybe just like you could make that shot a little shorter, and that's 100% a me thing. Like, if you look at any, like even when we go through 5 in here, right, 5, 6 wedding films, whatever we get done with, like you're gonna see a lot of slow motion. So that's a me thing. Also, real quick before we keep going, shout out to Ethan. Welcome to being a Wedding Film School member. That will get you some priority access in these live streams, getting your films, websites, etc. reviewed, and of course help this community. So thank you for that. Let's continue onwards. Cool dissolve, and good transition there too. And also that's a sweet shot. That lighting is sick.
Because love is really the experience.
I want to shoot at this venue, man. This is, or woman. I don't know who shot this. Sorry.
One chapter, but it's every moment. Moments like your first date, which
also this is some awesome. Like the audio's clean, but it's like really good content. This guy's killing it. Super good colors. I love this.
Said those powerful words, I love you.
I feel like whoever this is not in the chat right now, which is a bummer because I would love to hear like what, like, are they using a LUT? Are you? Yeah, are you using a LUT, or what are you shooting on? Because you've got really great colors and some really great images, and yeah.
And you're publicly declaring your love for one another.
That shot, not in love with. A lot of movement, out of focus part of the way. It looked maybe underexposed because it looked a little bit grainy. Really good use of music there. Again, just like an impactful moment with an impactful part of the song. Photographer flash, what are you gonna do? Some really good shots of B-roll here. I really like that.
Kayla.
Another nice dissolve. This almost seems like, did they record this separate maybe?
Thank you for
I don't
believing in
know.
us and being the foundation that our relationship is built on. You love me when I don't deserve it, and you spoil me.
But again, really
when
good
I
clean
don't.
audio.
Patrick,
Awesome
I
colors
promise to
again.
love you in good times and in bad, when life seems easy and when it seems hard, when our love is simple and when it is an effort.
I know you are my one because you know all of me, and you still choose to be with me.
Yeah, I'm actually really, wait, I'm confused now. Are these
You
like
still
two
decided
separate
to go through
vows, or?
this, even though I never learned to pick up my clothes. And I will never be able to control myself when the Eagles are playing. But none of that matters. because
I didn't mind that
noticed
fountain as
my
much,
negatives
actually.
and
With just
pushed
that
them
one.
into positives.
I vow to respect your thoughts and emotions and never ask you to change what makes you you. I vow to always appreciate you and never let one day go by without realizing how lucky I am to have you and that we have each other.
Kayla, today you become my wife, but more importantly, you stay my anchor, my cuddler, my dog mom.
I want to see like a wide shot of this, just because I don't understand. Like, it looks like everything's white on those other shots, and then you got that big brown door. I don't see that, but
on your worst days and on my worst days, I am so proud of me and you have become.
okay. So that shot.
and
Hold on,
so
I'm gonna
honored to
go
be
back
your
here
wife.
just a little bit.
So proud of me and on my worst days. I will love you on our best days, on your worst days, and on my worst days.
So that shot is this one right here is a little bit weird to me because you kind of it starts and you're moving in, and then you kind of move back out. Again, I think intentional, subtle movement is really important. The shot's beautiful. It's exposed right. The colors are gorgeous. You got the nice bokeh in the background, but that change in motion kind of throws me off a little bit as a viewer.
So proud of me and you have become, and I am so honored to become your wife. And I hate you for making me do this.
Some nice emotion, which is great.
It is now my great privilege to pronounce you as husband and wife. Patrick, the moment you have been waiting for. You may
Okay,
now
there's that
kiss
wide
your
shot.
bride.
Now I know. All right, it makes more sense. Nice job getting like audience reaction and stuff. That's really cool.
Well, family and friends, let me introduce to you to Mr. and Mrs. Patrick Kelly.
So you had a great lighting. You actually see your lighting. You can see it up here. It's on the head table, which I think is probably what you use for the speeches. I commented on that about how your lighting worked really well, especially given what I thought was maybe a difficult like moment. I haven't really seen a speech setup like that necessarily, but your lighting is, I don't know, like if they just danced not where you thought. Like we all had those moments, right, where you're all set up for one thing and then they're like, yeah, we're dancing over here, we're starting right now, so that happens. I totally get that. If that's the case, like, you're forgiven. But if not, like, your lighting is, it looks like you have lights set up. I imagine these are yours. It could be the venues, I guess, but if you're not using lighting, this would be a lot better with some lighting. Your focus would be better. You wouldn't get as much of a like mushy, grainy image. Not that it's terrible or anything like that, but it could be improved. And so yeah, I don't know if that was like your lights were in the wrong spot, you needed to move them, or you didn't bring any and this is the venues or what have you. But also with the right lights and lighting it well, you would avoid the photographer typically having to use their flash, which is always a positive for wedding filmmakers. Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking that they maybe just sprung that first dance on you, or did it somewhere where you weren't expecting or whatever, because this is what I would expect. Like, this lighting is great.
It's in this beautiful moment that
I really
we
like
are
that
all
fast-paced
reminded
kind of
that
ending,
despite all the
fade to
crazy
white
and
to
all the
this.
chaos
This is
that exists in our world today. Our ability to love is truly the very best part of what it means to be human.
Are you like? I wanna. So okay, you hear? I thought it was like maybe an add-in. Like, well, first I thought it was the pastor's mic that was still hot. Then I thought you added in like a record kind of skipping sound or something like that. But it's lined up with his footsteps, so I don't know if you are like doing Foley work and putting the footsteps in. I know I've already pointed out that you did some like environmental sounds, which were great. That'd be cool. I haven't really seen that, but yeah, really good ending on that. Like I said, I really like that kind of fast pace ending to the dissolve to the pan down or jib down, or what, I'm sure you were just on a gimbal or something, but white from the windows down to kind of the last saying. I'll make sure I go all the way to the end. So JK, I think that's Jeremy Kelly Studios. That is what I thought from the beginning. Actually, I will see when I minimize this. Jeremy Kelly Studios. So thank you for submitting. Again, some really awesome things that I liked in that film. A really well put together film. One thing, probably the last thing that I would say is, like, I don't know how you do your collections or your packages. I totally understand that you need to do what your clients hire you for. I don't think that film like dragged on by any means, but I'm usually a fan of just like more shorter, concise films. Like, for example, you had like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, like 4, 5, maybe even 6 shots that involved like the cake. And it's like, like a cake can be super important, and I don't want to take it away because I don't know their story, right? But like typically a cake is a cake for a wedding. So not that the shots were bad or anything like that, but sometimes like just because you can make it 7.5 minutes with well framed, well exposed, well color graded, stable shots doesn't mean you have to. But again, if they ordered like a 2-song, highlight film, or however you break it up, or a 7 to 8 minute highlight film. Like, I totally understand that you need to hit that, and it was not boring at all, so don't think that. Yeah, really great job on that. And again, I really loved the colors. I think you did really, really well with that. All right, I'm going to bring in my next one, which is coming over here now. Oh no, where'd it go? All right, so next one up. Make sure it all shows up here right. We'll switch over to this camera angle real quick. So yeah, that is the first one down. Moving on to our second one. Awesome, Ethan, glad you submitted. The way that films work, we have to, like, there's some advanced work that we have to do kind of to license the music and stuff like that. Things that I don't want to do while we're live because they take a little bit of time to kind of set up and get them in order. But you will be priority for our next live stream. Trying to do these every 2 to 3 weeks or so because I really love involving the community here. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, these are always something that can be replayed. So even if you aren't available to be there on the live stream, or even if you miss it or whatever, this will exist on the Wedding Film School YouTube channel, and you can always go back to that. Again, guys, the link, I will post it here. Let me see if I still have it copied. I do. So this is the link to submit your films, websites, or pricing, and there's some info you have to fill out depending on which one. You can submit all 3 as well, and if I don't get to it, you know, on this stream or next stream or something like that, you do stay in the list. So I keep that list, and be sure, please, to link the music that you have licensed for the film. I can't review them without licensing the music, and I can't always find the music if you don't link it to me. And then, of course, again, like I mentioned before, we do have our membership program. It starts at $5. Actually, it's $4.99, so under $5 per month. That gets you priority access on these live streams, kind of get bumped up to the top of the line. There are some other advantages too, including like a private Facebook group, private Discord, stuff like that. And the top end one, you can actually just get a personalized review guaranteed once a month, whether we do a live stream or not. So we would record something like this just for you. We might live stream it, but we don't necessarily have to. And we would send you a video, probably a little more in depth too, because if we aren't live streaming, we aren't on the time constraints, so much. So you can check that out. You just got to hit the little join button. It's like bottom right of the video or something like that. All right, moving on to our next one, which is from, shoot, I know. This one's a teaser. That's what I remember. We will find out soon who it's from. All right. Well, I can tell you right now, I really like this. I don't know if this is the opening shot or like the freeze frame. Actually, if this is the freeze frame, I should have looked. If this is the freeze frame, I would not use this. It's a beautiful shot. I really like the colors, but I would use something like with the couple or whatever, you know. But all things Vadia. Whoever just commented, I'm sorry that you missed Craig. Craig is no longer a part of this channel. You've got 2 awesome guys, in my opinion, myself and Jason, and of course we have plenty of guests on this channel as well. So I'm sorry that you missed Craig. I hope that we can win you over. Let us know what we can do to do that. All right. And again, guys, this is a teaser. That's important because, as you can already tell, this is like impactful. We might go fast. I'm not sure. I'm going to probably watch this one time through, and then I'll come back through it since it's short. we're going to find out. Brian Zuckerman. That's what I thought. Okay, so I'm going to go back through this. No. I'll make it a little quieter. I don't know if that'll be quieter on your end. So there are some things I love about this. I think teasers are an awesome, awesome tool. They are an awesome way to just put together like your best shots of a wedding. Get it out there quickly, get people just kind of amped up for the actual film, even if your actual film is not in this style. Our teasers are trending a little more towards, this kind of like hype, cinematic, not cinematic, that's not the right word. I mean, they are cinematic, but like a little more upbeat, right? And our wedding films, some are like that, but some aren't. They're a little slower and emotional, but the teaser might still be kind of upbeat. They are an amazing tool. If you're not offering teasers, I highly recommend it. It's a great way to upsell. It's a great way to make, a little bit more money, a little better revenue stream. But that's the nice thing is like, let's say you charge $1,000 for a teaser or whatever, right? So like you're making $1,000, you are making that money, you are putting together something that literally just works for you because they're so easy to share. They're short, so you keep the attention span, stuff like that, right? So a few things that I would do different. I like some of your opening shots. Like that's a gorgeous shot. But I don't actually love this shot personally. This leaf falling, it's hard to see kind of what's in focus, so it kind of looks all out of focus. I wouldn't have put that in there. But what I would say is you're very linear in this edit, and that's not a bad thing or a good thing. But I think for a teaser, you can be a little more, out of order, and I would maybe start with a couple like epic shots of the couple. I will say this, I didn't notice a whole lot of shots of the couple. So what that makes me think as a wedding filmmaker, just knowing how weddings go, is that maybe you didn't end up with that much footage of the couple, which is okay, and we all have to live with that sometimes. I would be curious to know, though, like, did you hold anything back that you were like, oh, I want to save this for the highlight film? In which case I would recommend not doing that. I really think that you should be putting your best shots in a teaser, even if you're going to use them in the highlight. There's nothing negative from using those shots in both of those. Like, your best shots are your best shots. You should want to use them. One other thing I'll get to here in a minute is this. Actually not that. It was the kid. So I'm guessing, and again, I don't know the story of any of these, right? So it seems to me like this is maybe the bride and groom's kid or one of their kids who's, adorable in his little tux and whatever and bow tie and looks awesome. There's like more shots of him in this intro than the bride and groom. And that's one of those things where it's like, I think for a teaser, you want to like amp the bride and groom a little bit more, but there's a couple shots, like that's an awesome shot. Like, I'm not saying take them all out or anything. And like, that one before was him getting his bow tie done by her. So like, I get that. But like these, you have this one and then you have one where he's more centered on that window and you're just not really seeing any detail in the face. It's just like one of those things where like, I don't know that I would put a shot like this in there. Maybe one, but certainly not two. And, you're just like, it's not like, you can't really fix this to like bring more detail into his face, right? He's standing against a window with his back to it. That's just what it is. But yeah, I think there's enough shots of him already that are good. Like the one looking out the window, the one of him running to the groom, I think is who he was running to, stuff like that. So maybe cut down these a little bit. That's okay. So it was that one, which is like, this is kind of cool, right? Like you have, I already mentioned in that, that it wasn't the opening shot. I think it was your freeze frame. Like, it's a really awesome dramatic lighting. I love the use of like, dark and light, right? Of the use of the light to highlight parts of, I think it was the groom's face, but keep a lot kind of, keep us guessing a lot of ways. But this one, for me, it just doesn't work as well. You don't really see any part of the face that's important. and you've already introduced him, right? It's not like he's a mystery, and that might not work as well for a wedding anyway, but you're just seeing like the highlights at the tops of like the cheekbones and his temple and of course his ears, but you don't see the eyes, which you connect to. You don't really see the mouth, which might be smiling, which you could have an emotional connection to, stuff like that. So this right here was a jump cut to me. From this shot to that shot, it's almost the exact same angle. It looks like you're maybe a tiny bit to the right and maybe a tiny bit closer. I would keep an eye out for that. You know, people have different views on it. I don't like jump cuts. They take me out as a viewer, right? That might be because I'm looking for them always. That might be because, you know, I have experience doing video stuff, and probably all of us watching do as well. But you know, that's something that's like in my head. I go, oh, jump cut, and that makes me, you know, remove myself from the story to have that thought. So I like your use of, I don't know if this is like a door frame or a door or whatever. It would have been nice. I mean, granted, right, you can't do anything about it, but it would have been nice if this was like a window or something, but oh well. I don't know what this is. I know it's fake. It looks like it's supposed to be flowers maybe, but they're like probably fake flowers. Well, maybe these are real. I don't know. This part that you're focused on, I think is fake flowers. Maybe not like the best thing to include. I don't know, but the lighting is really cool, so I do like that. Yeah, I really like this shot. I know that's your freeze frame. Again, I think that your freeze frame should be the couple, but I do really like this shot. Really, all his prep is awesome. This shot looks very grainy to me. I'm sure it was either underexposed and you brought it up, or just no. I mean, it doesn't look like there's any natural lighting really. It looks like there's a reflection somewhere. Of course, it's a glass, so who knows. It's one of those things, man. Like I think you have some amazing shots in here, but I think that you should try to keep them all on the same level, because I think a shot like this or the leaf falling one, it just kind of like takes the quality of the whole thing down a little bit, almost, if that makes sense, kind of. Like you have some amazing shots in here and some really cool lighting, and like I would rather, this is probably what, right? This is 1:08, so like I would be aiming for 1:59 actually, just for like the social media side of it. I would take these shots out. Like I would also not feel, I thought this was going to be exactly a minute, right? And I would have said, I do not feel obligated to fill an entire minute if I don't have a minute of shots that I think are amazing. Like if I'm doing a teaser, I think we quote them as 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds. It might be 40 to 60 seconds. So like obviously you have to hit your time frame, right, that you are promising, but I would not add in shots. Like I'd just be hyper selective of the shots I use, if that makes sense. Those are sweet shoes and I want them. This looked maybe a little out of focus. Yeah, it looks like your focus maybe back here. Maybe if you have that shot a little bit earlier when they're in focus, or if you find a point that is a little more in focus, could swap that out. And then these things too, like I would use, so you are like right about a minute before you go into your logo and stuff. I would see, I don't know if you're using lights. Like there are lights here. I don't know if they're from the venue or if they're yours. I would use lights for this reception stuff. So it's like this. That's kind of cool, but even that could have used a little light. That's sweet. I like this shot. That one you are using. I don't know if this is your light back here, but you're or whatever's hitting kind of their silhouettes. This one as well, like I would throw a light on there because you're getting kind of this grain, and it just is a little bit dark. Like I don't have waveforms or whatever up, but it just looks dark to me. So, but I will say, as somebody actually mentioned in the chat here, this is a really, really good use of sound design. I'd actually be curious to listen to the song and see if you added any of that. Otherwise, like, just props for picking a really great song. There's a lot to work with there. I would recommend maybe, because right at the end, you play around with speeding up your cuts. But before that, you're pretty much on the same, like, tempo cuts for, 50, 55 seconds, something like that. And some of that works really well, like your intro. Like, I know I didn't like the leaf shot, right? And I know I said I would have replaced it with some couple shots, but, like, the like pace of editing lined up with the music just being like very impactful at moments makes sense. But then as you kind of get to the middle of it, like, there are different things that you could cut on, where I think you could play around with speeding some sections up just to like mix it up a little and keep the viewer guessing a little bit, rather than just like, I don't really understand music, so I don't know like the tempo or whatever it's called, right? But there's like a tempo and it's set to one thing and you're always cutting. It's like every second or 2 seconds or half a second. I have no idea what it is, right? So, but yeah, really cool sound design, especially if you added some of that stuff. If you added like, obviously, like, you didn't add the violin or whatever that is playing, cello or something, right? But like, there are some like clicks. There's the like big impact drops. If any of those are from you, like, I think that is a like stellar job on that. Yeah. So that was. Finish it out again, and it's coming soon. I like that. I like that font too, and like right amount of time. Yeah, Brian Zuckerman. So thank you for submitting. I hope that was helpful. I mean, guys, you got to understand, like, I'm going to come here and I'm going to try to give you things that I would change or improve on, but like, it doesn't mean that your film is bad. Like, that was a killer film. I'm sure the couple loved it. Yeah, I think it was really, really well done. So, cool. If you are in the chat right now, could you just like put in a comment real quick? My YouTube studio keeps like dropping from like, however many viewers there are to 0 all the time. I don't know what the deal is, so it's confusing me. So somebody say something. I would appreciate that. Make sure it's still working. While you do that, I will be queuing up our next film. Come on now. Alright, got the next one queued up. Alright, thank you, Mickey. Sounds like it's all working. I swear that wasn't like I'm not like, hey, add comments so that I rank better or whatever. I don't know. I just, yeah, I didn't know for sure that it was working. Alright, cool. Sweet. So we're going to move on to our next one here. Back to this. Yeah, mine keeps going like anywhere from like, it's like 25 or like 40 or, whatever. And then it will be like 0 viewers. And I'm like, shoot, did my stream just go down or something? So getting very nervous. All right. This is actually here. I'm just going to do this because this will be easier. This is from Fitzgerald Films, who I actually know because he's here in Minnesota. So here we go. Actually, I'm going to comment on this real quick. Well, I don't see the freeze frame because I think it like kind of auto started, so I paused it. But I'd be very curious, what is like, or if you're watching, like, what is your thoughts on this? And I'm not going to like try and like tear you apart. I don't like this kind of a title. And I'll give you 2 reasons why. One, I think it's clickbaity, and I think we all know that, right? And I understand why you do it, and I understand why there are plenty of other people. There are high-profile people, low-profile people who do it. It's not that I don't get it. I just don't like it. I've done it a couple times. It annoys me. I kind of hate myself for doing it. So I'm trying to do titles that aren't about like, oh, how you'll cry if you watch this, right? Granted, I have had some success on like, what do you call it? Like compilation videos, right? Of like first looks or whatever. again, kind of hate myself for doing it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly, Mickey. Like, I know plenty of people who do it. I know why you do it. Like, it's so hard for me because I think, like, it probably does help your video perform better. It gives it a better chance of, like, not going viral, but, you know, kind of getting pushed more. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I would, if Fitzgerald Films wants to weigh in too, if they're here, or later in the comments, I'd love to know just like how it impacts you. Like, I'm not saying it's bad or good. There are things I like about it because I know it can help you. There are things I don't like about it because it feels clickbaity. But the other thing is that you're kind of sacrificing potential SEO. Okay, so this says Minnesota Backyard Wedding, so that could be because there wasn't a venue or something like that, right? So, but make sure, if this is what you want to use and if this is working for you and getting more views, I get it, and I'm all for it. This should be your keyword. This should be like what's important to you, or for ranking for, right? So if this was like, in Minneapolis, the Aria or whatever, right? So you say like Aria wedding film or, whatever. I don't know. So just a thought, but this seems, so Backyard Wedding makes me think it wasn't a venue and might not be as easy to keyword. Anyway, quick side note, and we're back into this film. Alright, so a couple things. I'm going to stop here real quick. Your title, it's kind of cool that you have it last over 2 shots. I don't really ever do that, but so that like just stuck out to me. But it's cool. But there's parts like you're doing this white title. This is, I don't know if this is like blown out technically on her veil, right? But you can't see the A, and in this shot too, you can't really see the E. So, there are different ways to get around this. Of course, the way you grade or the way you color correct or whatever, using different fonts. I mean, it's hard because, right, you have black here, so it's hard to kind of win. So the 2 different shots kind of helps that because you see it 2 different ways. But maybe think about that. One of the things that I do, so I do my titles for the couple at the end of my film, not at the beginning. And one of the things, I'll slowly blur the clip that the title is going over. I do that anyway, but one of the big reasons that I started doing it is because it helps the in focus text, right, stand out even if the colors are similar. So that's maybe not a fix exactly for you, but this shot to me, like, I think this is that lake, or that we see in the next shot, or river or something, or maybe it's like a patio, I don't really know. It's blown out, so it seems odd to me. Like, I think if you would have just kept the shot, a closer shot maybe on these flowers or something, like, I know you want to show the backyard, right? You're establishing where this is happening, but you're pulling focus, leading the viewer towards a part of the frame that's blown out. And I would be trying my best to hide that part of the frame. Like, I understand that's in direct sun right here, and over here is in shade, so like I understand why it's blown out. But I wouldn't be leading my viewer to direct their eyes towards the portion of the frame that's overexposed. I would be trying to crop that out entirely with a closer lens or a closer shot, personally. But and then this, like, it seems like you were maybe tripod before. The couple shots, I don't know if you were tripod or gimbal, but they were stable-ish. I mean, they weren't unstable. They might have had like slight subtle movement, which is like what you want, right? This seemed handheld, like, not maybe, like, movement and handheld is hard to do. And it seems like the other ones with the couple were probably slowed down, and this is not slowed down, I don't think. So this movement seems jerky to me. Yeah. And you kind of catch it better at the end, but at the beginning it seemed like a little jerky.
Dear Ellie, I am so in love with you. Growing up, you always see love expressed in so many different ways. In books...
Really like your lighting here. This is, I imagine you picked out where you wanted him to be. good job with that, using some window light. There's this window here. It feels like there's probably a window over here as well. So awesome job there.
It always...
You've got these flickering though. That's annoying. I kind of like right what this added in the background, but if I looked at my camera and I saw that flickering, and that is definitely something that you might not have noticed before you were like, yeah, go ahead, read your letter or vows or whatever these are, right? But had I noticed that, a big thing for wedding filmmakers, especially if you are, especially if you're newer, is I know when I was like just starting in the industry, one of the things that even for multiple years, one of the things that I was always like really worried about was like asserting myself and doing what I needed to do. And this is one of those scenarios where, 10 years ago, I would have set him up, and then I would have looked at my camera, and maybe I saw those flickering in the back, and I would have said, I already set him up. I don't want to like move him again. It might look unprofessional or whatever. I don't want to go and move this basket of lights or whatever that is, But I think you should be doing that. I think every wedding filmmaker should be doing that. I don't like posing, I don't like faking stuff, right? I'm never going to make somebody redo a first look. I know people who do that. I disagree with it. I'm never going to, try to fake something, but I absolutely am going to say, hey, I need you to hold on 1 second, or could you restart this? I'm going to move this light tree. I don't even know what you would call that. In the moment, I would come up with a good name for it. I'm going to move this because it's flickering. It's making my camera, flicker or whatever, right? Or just see it in the beginning. Or like I said, maybe you don't see it till you get to the editor, and that's life sometimes, and like we've all been there. So anyway, continuing.
Seems so dramatic and corny.
And real quick, I'm going to take a sip of water while we continue.
I get it now.
Really good lighting again. Really good use of that window.
We made it. Today's the day I get to marry you.
So one thing here. Sorry, I gotta take a sip of water. All better. All right. Welcome to Wedding Film School, where you watch me drink water. All right. So one thing I want to say. It looks. I don't know if her makeup is done or not, but I would be hesitant about like full on showing a bride before her makeup is done. This shot I think is fine. Like you're like, oh, maybe she has it done, maybe she doesn't, and she's getting it done, right? This shot, awesome. This is like a go-to shot for me, something like this, especially if like the timing just like doesn't exactly work, and I have to like put this down here, and I have to like get some shots before her makeup is done. Something like this is great. That shot, there was another one I thought, or is it right? No. All right, we're gonna play. There is a shot.
Dear Damon.
Like this. To me, I don't think her makeup is done in this. I know she's smiling. What is this? A water bottle? Or yeah, it's gotta be a water bottle. But like, you've got the passing in front of the light. Maybe makeup that's not done. I'd maybe cut. I would be conscious, and I know every bride is different, right? And some are like, I don't want to be seen without my makeup, and some are like, I don't care. There are times that I've put shots like this in, but I think in general I just try to be conscious of that. And one thing that we do, this is actually one of the only things that I will like fake, right? Is I know that I want shots of the bride with her makeup done or very close to done. And I know that, we all know, I would say, that typically where the bride is getting ready or the conditions that she's getting ready in, specifically lighting, is not necessarily what we want. So what I'll typically do now is when I walk into a wedding, I'll see where they're at. I'll talk to the makeup artist and be like, hey, when you're done or you're 5 minutes from done, can we just like kind of arrange things how we want, put her where we want for you to finish, and we'll do some touch-up shots, right? Call it faking, maybe, I don't really know, but I would rather pick out like, hey, I like this window light, I like this chair, I don't want any of this shit around her, like I don't want all this makeup, like take the makeup you need, take the brushes you need, but like I don't need like dirty paper towels and like 8 other people around her getting ready and stuff like that. Like I just want like her by herself in nice light with the things you need, and basically having as much control over that as possible. So that's a bit of a tangent, but
We made
those are my
it.
thoughts.
Today's the day I get to marry you.
Another good letter
As I'm
reading,
sitting
and it's
here trying to write
seemed,
this letter,
you know, clean.
I feel
so.
like there's so much to say, and it feels so
I think you
scattered
could mic
because I wanna
her
tell
a little bit lower. So I would mic her down like, well, that's where the play bar is, but you know, down here or whatever, just like chest level. If you're gonna use this crop of a frame, like if you're gonna go wide, you might see the mic. That's life. But I would, if you knew like, hey, it's gonna generally look like this framing, I would take that mic out of there, because you're not gonna lose a huge amount of quality being here to like here or something, but you are gonna not see it, which isn't the end of the world that you see it. There are plenty of my shots that you see a mic, but if you have control over it, and also this is in line with where, like, it doesn't seem like the hair is giving you an issue, but the hair could be rubbing on that. Not like it isn't currently, but it could have. That's a better way to say it.
tell you how much you mean to me, and the thoughts and feelings are all rushing out all at once. More than anything, I love you. So much more than any words I could ever
I like that
write.
shot.
Words just aren't enough
So
to
this,
express.
like, really cool texture, right? I don't know if it's like a bench or piece of wood or whatever, but the focus has to be here. Like, your focus, oh man, this is YouTube, so I get it. But your focus seems like here, something like that. Your focus is not on the main diamond. That is where your focus needs to be. I would have, ring shots are one of my favorite shots. Ring shots are one of the things that I spend like a dumb amount of time on. I'm always trying to come up with something new to do for ring shots if I can, or like some cool lighting or, you know, whatever. But I always review my ring shots. That's one of the few things that I will always go back into my camera and rewatch it, make sure it's in focus. Like, I'll zoom in like as far as I can, right? Make sure it's in focus, make sure I'm not like shaking or something like that. Yeah, so it's out of focus. I know it's not technically out of focus because like it's somewhere on this, but you're also like, you're probably shooting this at like, sorry, 1 second. You're probably shooting this at like 2.8 or 2.0 or something like that. So I wouldn't do that either in this scenario, because your rings they're on a different plane, right? So you have like the diamond, you know, an inch or whatever back from the front of the groom's ring. So yeah.
That's the depth of my love for you.
You are my best friend. You make every moment something special to be cherished.
Some great
and written
emotion
down to
here.
remember. I'm beyond excited to spend the rest of my life with you.
Looks like he leaned forward and was out of focus there a little bit too, so just be careful with that. This could be a scenario where you, where you like start and you just kind of leave so that he can read it, in which case I get it.
My life with you.
But then maybe don't include that shot or that part of that shot. All right, you broke the 180 degree line here, 180 rule or whatever it's called. So just for those who aren't familiar, the way you're shooting this right now, this is the father of the bride, I imagine. The father is on the right side, right? He is right of the bride. Bride is on left side. And then your next shot, you switch them. So, yeah, I would not do that, basically. So that takes the viewer out, even for people who don't recognize that, right? Who don't say like, oh, he broke the 180 degree or 180 rule or whatever, right? Like, and not the 180 shutter rule, different rule, guys. But subconsciously that will take people out, because they're like, oh, here is where this person is in relation to this person. This is how my mind knows it now. And then you flip it and it's like, whoa, what happened? Because he was over here and now he, transported. So be careful of not filming. You're basically got a half circle to film, and don't cross over that half circle line, if that makes sense. What's up, Film and Flourish? Thank you for joining. We're a couple videos in. We're in the middle of this one. And also, this looks out of focus. So your focus, it honestly looks like it might be back here. I don't know if you were on autofocus for this. I don't know if this was a man camera. But again, I think one of the things, and this has kind of come up in a couple of the other videos that I've reviewed today, is like, look, I get it. I want this little conversation, this smile, this whatever. I want that in my film. But if it is out of focus, I think you got to cut it. Like, just see if you can cheat other angles in with that audio where maybe you can't see who's talking or whatever. Do what you have to. And like, we've all been there, but I think you have multiple angles. So, or just sit on one, or make this whole little section of the father, the first look with the father, shorter. Or, you do what you have to do. I think you really want to avoid shots that are out of focus, because I think, look, I'm not saying like, oh, you have one shot that's out of focus, like your business is tanked. That's not what's going to happen. But it is a lower production quality. It is something that people, obviously, like us filmmakers, will notice, but it is something that just people will notice as well. And I think it just doesn't help you with, delivering a finished product that has something out of focus in it, especially sitting on it so long. I think that's a big thing. Like, if it's quick, you want his reaction, somebody's gonna be like, oh, was that out of focus? Oh, I'm not really sure, right? But if you're on it for a long time, but it is, like, I get it, it's good audio. Your camera's a little jittery there. You also, I think, changed, it looks like you maybe stopped down or clicked down real quick or something. And I will say, if I'm wrong on the focus because it's YouTube, my apologies. YouTube can do that sometimes. But again, it looked like you were maybe handheld. I'd be curious to know, what is it looks handheld, so I don't think that's gimbal. Maybe it is. If it's gimbal, I think you can like go into your settings and slow down your movements or something to make them more subtle. If it's handheld, I'd be curious what your handheld rig is, because I think you could do something to it. Because I've picked out a few handheld shots already that I think just seem jittery to me, and I think there's probably some things that you can maybe add to that rig to make it just add some things to like counterbalance a little bit, or add some weight or something like that to make some movements smoother.
Okay.
I am so in love with you. I truly never imagined I could be this happy.
I do really
You mean
like
the
your
world to me, and I am so excited to start our life.
like the way that you're using I think these are letters to each other, right? I like the way that you're using those as kind of, you're kind of going between that, but like the father first look, I imagine if they do a first look, that'll be in there too, where you're kind of like breaking that up and using that to kind of move the story forward.
Lives together.
Today is the day, Ellie.
So like this, I mean,
I'm about to
it's
go.
a lot of camera movement. Like this shot would have been better to me if it's on tripod.
Ready. You are over there at your parents' getting ready yourself. In a few short hours, we will begin this amazing journey together as husband and wife. I know I'll probably cry when I see how beautiful you are, because I am so in love with you.
Yeah, this one too. Yeah, man, I would look at like my guess is that you just don't have a lot of weight on that, or that you aren't using something with image stabilization maybe. Again, I don't know what you're shooting on, or even a lens with image stabilization. I think that would help you out a lot. It just makes these movements subtle, or it makes them more subtle, and I think that would go a long way. But these, yeah, I mean, these are good reactions and stuff like that. I just wish the camera wasn't so shaky.
The past few days and weeks have been chaotic and wonderful, with all the preparations getting ready for our big day.
Or use slow-mo. Like, I don't like slow-mo. I already talked about it, but like that is why people use it. Like, especially if you're going to shoot handheld, shoot 60 frames per second, join the rest of the wedding filmmaking community so that you can slow it down and stabilize it a little more. And like, it doesn't mean that you need to add warp stabilizer and make it jello or whatever, right? But like, if you slow it down, it will automatically make those movements more subtle, which I think is closer to what you want.
Nothing, absolutely
This
nothing
is a good
could
shot,
stop
though. I
this
like
day
that.
from being completely perfect. Not rain, snow, lightning, fire, or flood. Because I am marrying my best
That one looks
friend.
slowed down, so yeah, maybe do that more.
But I know a love like this doesn't come around
if this is your camera, I would pick a different angle. Just try to get one of these shoulders to block it, you know, something like that. I also think that you're behind. I think this is the groom, I'm pretty sure, and this is maybe whoever's officiating. I don't think you should ever be behind them. That's a, you know, there are people who do it, I'm sure. I think that's in the way, and I get, like, it's a backyard wedding, right? So there aren't rules, and there's more leeway, but I don't know.
This idea that this love is action. It's a choice to do, to walk out. It's not all about emotions and feelings, although emotions and feelings are wonderful, and they're
Again, I just, like,
an awesome thing, but it's a
utilize tripods, like having those shots that you just had on a tripod with a fluid head and doing it smoothly. Like, I think it would really go a very long way in just upping the quality. One other thing I'm just going to say now on this, because I don't want to forget, is none of your colors are like wrong or bad. Your exposure, like, yeah, there's some stuff that, you know, is overexposed and like whatever. And you had some really good like prep shots and stuff with that light, but I'd be curious, if I were you, I would maybe play around with some LUTs or something. Just give it, like, it looks very, like, out of camera colors, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if that's what you want. But I think giving it more of a grade, more of a look, would bring it up kind of in production value as well. So yeah, I would at least just play around with it.
a choice, and it's an action to choose to love every day. Damon, you may kiss your bride. But it's a choice, and it's an action to choose to love every day.
So right here, you have a jump up in the like song, right? It goes to like a, well, I'm not going to sing it, but obviously you guys know there's like a beat, and it's like the chorus, or I don't know, whatever, however that works with music. I would have used that for the kiss, like lining up important parts of a song, high points of a song, or low quiet points with a big part of the day or an emotional part of the day is a lot of, it's like music theory, right? And it goes a long way in driving home emotion. So like I would have, you're like a shot off for me, right? Like this is important, tying the three strings together and like the, you know, verses that go along with that. But it's not the first kiss, and the first kiss I think is what should be here.
Damon, you may kiss your bride.
I like this shot a lot.
You can have my heart. Oh, I know a love like this doesn't
This one's a little bit blown out.
May I present
I mean,
to
she
you
is,
Mrs.
and he was
Mrs.
overexposed.
Patricia,
That's a good shot,
husband
though.
and wife.
I would wonder what your intention is behind a shot like this. Like, I get it for some stuff like prep or whatever. Even just like I like having this foreground, and I like the idea behind that, but it's also covering, you know, 40% of them dancing or something like that. So I would move around a little bit to the left so that they are more like here, and then you can still have this if that's the shot you want, because it's cool and it's creative, and I get that. But when it's covering them, you know, I would maybe move a little bit. I'd slow this shot down if you can. Yeah.
I love you, Damon Michael Trisha. And as Dwight would put it, I just want to be friends, plus a little extra. Also, I love you. I love you and I like you. Love, Ellie.
Excuse me. Yeah, so I think I shared most of my thoughts. Again, I think a couple things you could change would be adding some weight to your rig if you're going to shoot handheld, or really focus on monopod, tripod. I think those who know me know that I'm not a huge fan of introducing a gimbal if you are earlier on in your career. If you're still figuring out other stuff, I think that it can kind of limit your growth as a filmmaker. But a gimbal is certainly a tool that works as well. So, but yeah, just kind of being smart with that stuff. Playing around with maybe a color grade, I think you get a more interesting look for your footage. And then, yeah, but good storytelling, good use of the letters. I really like that. You used it throughout the whole film. Yeah, some good shots in there as well. So let's swap back here so you see just me and you don't see behind the scenes as I bring up the next film. And let's see, we've got time for probably one more here. Oops, I'm in the wrong place. All right, so we're gonna do this if it's a full film. Otherwise, maybe we'll get 2 in. Yeah, this is gonna be a full film. Oops. Hold on. Bring that back. All right, so we've got one more film here, but I'm going to just link this one more time. If you do want to submit your films, your websites, or your pricing guides for review on these live reviews that we're doing every couple of weeks, I just pasted the link in the chat. Fill it out. Make sure if you're doing a film that you also include a link to your music that you license so that I don't have to search for it. That makes it way easier for me. And even if I don't get to your film, obviously we're kind of, we've got 15, 20 minutes left of this one, something like that. Even if we don't get to yours today, or even if you submit today, you are kept on a list. We keep that list. It's a running list that we work through, so you will get on future live streams. And if you want a better chance of being on the live streams, you can become a Wedding Film School member by hitting the join button, which is just below, like bottom right of the video, I think, next to subscribe. It starts at $5 a month. Actually, it starts at $4.99 a month. And that gets you priority in these live streams to get these reviews by myself and or Jason. We are combined. Oh gosh, I should add this up. I think between us, we have 30 years in the wedding industry. I think Jason's around 16. I'm at 14. So we are just going through and critiquing and giving you guys some insight on films and your websites and your pricing guides that just, these are things that have worked for us for a long time. So again, starts at $5 a month, well, $4.99. And that gets you priority in these live streams for different reviews, depending on what you want reviewed. And you can submit all 3 of those things for a review. And there are other membership levels as well that get you awesome other benefits, including the highest one, which is a guaranteed every single month you can privately send us a video and we will review it. If you want us to do a live stream, we are happy to add it into a live stream as like top priority. Or if you just want us to send you a private, I know, like, I see a lot of times people, I think I've even seen it in the comments today, people who are like, I'm not like, I don't have the guts to submit mine for review, right? So if you don't want live stream, but you want that kind of help for $20, I think is that top one, or maybe it's 16 or something like that. I don't know. You can go check it out. We're going to give you every single month a guaranteed review, and we do that privately if you would like, and we can send you a video like this, and it'll probably be a little bit more in-depth as well because we're not constrained by time. So check those out. Submit your films, your websites, your pricing guide for review for this or future live streams. We're going to try and do these every few weeks. I think they're a blast. I love having the community in here as well and chatting with you guys. So let's move on to our next, probably final one here. I don't know who this is from. Let's see if I can see it here. Winter Studios. So this is Molly and John. This is the first one we're doing through Facebook, so that's interesting. And here we go. I really like this opening shot. I always love stuff like that anyway, so. You did the same thing, keeping the title through 2 shots, maybe more, we'll see. This is really awesome. This is, we only see a piece of the dress, but it looks like a pretty sweet dress. And B, I really love this lighting, this framing. I love these, like the lines of this window pane or something. It's all kind of leading lines to her and to this beautiful dress.
More than just words. I got more.
I love I believe this is done in post. You have a subtle push in and a subtle rotation. If you did this in camera, like, I'm very impressed. And regardless, even if you didn't do it in camera, I love it. It's a cool shot as well. I would have liked this one to be, I think you do the same thing here. I don't love the rotation as much. I like the zoom in, like it's the ring. You've got, kind of this like medium, I don't know what you call this. It's a ring. It's really hard to call, like medium wide, whatever, right? But you see, you've got a lot of space around the ring, so I like the effort to like push in a little and that subtle movement. One more thing though, this is 2 in a row, I think. This diamond does not look in focus. Your focus looks to be here. I don't know how big is a millimeter. I have no idea. Maybe a millimeter or a couple millimeters beyond the diamond. Again, ring shots. It's really crucial to nail focus on the diamond, in my opinion. Unless it's a unique type of ring, then maybe not. But something like this, which actually this is really cool. I don't know that I've ever seen the like twisted gold. I think that's sweet, but still, focus should be on the diamond. I would 100%, like I said, I always check my ring shots. That's one of the few things that I will go back, I'll hit play, and I will watch it and make sure that my focus is on the diamond, because it can be hard to tell sometimes. Like you can zoom in right while you're playing it back if you have a monitor, or even I think in most cameras you probably can, but I would definitely do that. That's a cool shot. I think that's a reflection. Sweet. I also really like this. I love stuff like this. Oh, dang it, I missed it. Okay, I think your exposure could maybe be different on this. It does look overexposed to me. But you're not like the sky's overexposed. That's life sometimes. But like even this, like it looks a little bit overexposed, and I think you could bring some of that back and still have a great shot. But I love you haven't really introduced the bride or the groom yet, right? So a shot like this worked really well. I love when people do something like this where it's kind of a it's silhouetted it's like a silhouette. It's like if they were, if it was 2 black, silhouettes across or against the sky, it serves a similar purpose where it's like you haven't introduced them, you don't know who they are yet. This is just having them out of focus, but similar purpose, and I think that can work really well, especially the way you used it here. All right. I think I might have seen, you might have posted this, well, I know it's on Facebook, but you might have posted this in the Wedding Film School group, and I don't know, I think I told you to submit it. I think I was going to add some comments, but then I was like, oh, wait, save it for this. Anyway, this shot, to me, this drone shot, I like it. You set the where it is. The horizon maybe looks a tiny bit off. It looks a little bit slanted towards this side, to the right. Maybe not. I'm not really sure. But the big thing that I would say is it's too fast for me. You've got this music that is subtle. You've got these slow cuts that you're doing and pacing, and then you just have this drone shot that's just I know you're not racing. It's not going 40 miles an hour, but it's fast. I think starting before those telephone pole, whatever, wires, cords, whatever, would be a better shot anyway. That doesn't really serve any purpose in your film. You still have trees here and here in the foreground that, can serve as a foreground to show that you are moving forward. But even 2 seconds of this slowed down to be this length, I think would be better, or just, flying slower. So there's a couple ways to do that. I like to film my drone stuff usually at 30 frames per second. It lets me slow it down to 80% when I'm editing in a 24 frames per second timeline. And that gives me even more subtle movement. But even when I'm flying, I fly very, very slowly. Again, subtle, intentional movement is huge for a wedding film. I would also say this color looks different a little bit to me. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe check that.
Football. Today is the day I get to marry you.
Another out of focus. I like that.
So soon. I'm overwhelmed with joy and gratitude.
I would maybe start on this shot. I don't think it's bad to show she's drinking out of her cup or whatever, but you've hinted the bride and groom, right, with the or not silhouette, the out of focus shot. the shot that was just before this of like her hair kind of out of focus, and you just see like, I think it was this actually, the banister or the railing. The first shot that I show of the bride, I'd be very intentional about which shot that is. And I would choose, since you have other good ones, I would choose a different one other than this. I think you could still totally use this. It's a good shot. I like the framing between the lights, but I would maybe start with like this one where she's not drinking, or maybe one that's further in. I haven't seen them yet.
In awe of just how good and kind and faithful our Father in heaven is. I told you I found a note in my phone written in 2016 that captured my prayer for a husband that I'd share with you on our wedding day.
Okay, I'm actually glad that this came up. I think that there is some split among wedding filmmakers here. And I think that we all probably understand that sometimes there are factors out of our control, specifically timing of a day or of the day, right? That makes it so we can't maybe get what we want. The logistics are a little confusing for it, but I think you should always be having your, like, if they write a letter to each other, you should have the groom read the letter that he wrote. You should have the bride read the letter that she wrote. And the reason why is because they're going to say something like, I have been looking for my husband for so long, or whatever. And they're like, we do plenty of same-sex weddings. We have nothing against that. But when you're showing a bride and groom and you have the groom reading from what the bride wrote, which says stuff like that, like, it can just be confusing to the viewer. So I am a big fan of making time in the schedule. That can come, that happens by communicating on the front end and kind of making sure they read separate audio of the letter that they wrote. And we will have time set aside for that, 5 minutes each, and then have them open whichever one you want. And if you want them to read that too for audio, that's fine. But typically we're just after the video and the emotion of that part. So just a thought to do there.
I'm in awe of how God so abundantly and graciously granted that prayer with you, and honestly so much more.
I really like these prep shots. This is a really cool shot. Like the bokeh that was in the
Johnny
background.
Is the best person I know, and I just can't believe I get to keep you. I cannot begin to imagine how much better things could be, but I know reading that journal entry from 2016 that the best is yet to come. I get to love you.
I really like that shot too. The lighting on it is just awesome. I love how it's all like very like low contrast, like what do you call it? Like almost like pastel color palette with this couch and stuff. Really nice light fall off.
To run after Christ with you.
I like the subtle
young life and our own with you.
Ambient audio that was used there.
Can't wait to run down the aisle to get started. Love you so much, Molly.
So this, I just be careful. I think her dress is kind of blown out there, exposure wise. And you have the photographer in that shot too. I like this shot a lot. Those flowers are pretty sweet. I like them. Alright, this shot I would take out. Not this one. This seems very out of, I'm not going to say out of character for you because I don't know you or your work really, but compared with what else is in this, again, it's kind of like I was saying, like it was kind of like the drone shot, right? This shot takes me out. It's this like weird fast moving like half circle whip or something. I don't know. And that like, it does not fit with the way that you're editing. And it takes me as a viewer out of the story and out of the environment.
Molly, I can't believe this day is finally here. The day I get to call you my wife. The day we get to become one. The day we start our life together. The day we stand before God and our loved ones and commit our life to one another.
I really like your use here. You've had a couple shots like this. It was the same when she did her, was getting her lips done. I really love, I love negative space. You have so much negative space, so I love that. The lips one had some nice bokeh, like here and here as well. But when you're like super framed to the right or super framed to the left, I think that's really cool.
I feel so lucky and honored to be your husband. It is a title and a role I won't take lightly.
Great
it is
emotion.
A high calling to always point you to Christ.
So that's the one thing, right? That's the flip side, is like you're gonna get really good emotion when they read the letter that was written to them. One other thing I would say on that, though, is that we find it, if we prepare them in advance, like, hey, are you writing letters? Would you like to read them? That way we can use that audio. It works really well for the video. We don't really get pushback too often. But if they are reading the letter that they are opening that they have not seen, we get more pushback. So the emotional response can be better, but you can still get some of that by filming it, just with video. But you kind of have the risk of not having any letter audio then, potentially.
Lead you spiritually. Put your needs ahead of mine. And strive every day to love you like Jesus unconditionally. I love you so much, Molly. Since our first date, I couldn't wait to marry you. I can't wait to watch you walk.
So that, like, this is kind of cool. I think, you might be shooting through a window here or something. But, like, front and center is the photographer. I would take this shot out. Unless, like, I think we've all been there where, like, you know, you don't have the whole family. Like, maybe this is the whole bride or groom's family or whatever, right? And you need to make sure you have that and you just didn't have another shot. I could see that happening. But I also think, like, family portraits, I like to put them in there just because, like, I don't like forcing people into a film outside of, like, all right, I'll put the whole groom's family in there because I don't really have them elsewhere in the film at a point that I want to use. So I see the role that they can serve there, but yeah, if you had another one, I would use that, just with the photographer being right there. Oops, sorry guys.
Or run down the aisle. See you at the altar, babe. Your lover, your babe, your best friend, Johnny.
Promise that no man can tear us apart. Puts a lot of love in my heart.
Okay, so that right there, you had this, like, let's see, where was it? Right here, you start to hear the, like, cymbal or whatever, right, on the drum set, kind of building up, and then you have this, like, beat, and it's like a transition into some part of the song, some new part of the song. I would use that beat. That's an important beat. That's an important build-up, and I would use that for something big. That could be him turning around at the first look if they did one. That could be, you know, a father of the bride first look, her coming down the aisle, him seeing her down the aisle, the first kiss, even a transition here if you went kind of out of order, non-linear, and transition into a little sequence of the bride and groom, just like couple portrait, you know, like some of the like awesome shots you got from that. A drone shot, although this would be kind of late to just like randomly have one, but maybe they change venues, stuff like that. So I think as wedding filmmakers, we need to utilize the music that we're picking. Like, you can create a great story to a song, and your story can stand alone on its own and be good, but you can get so much more impact, so much more emotional impact by utilizing the high points and the low points of a song.
So much brighter. The colors so much deeper.
And therefore I have.
This is really great coverage of this stuff. Like, this is something that I sometimes wish I did more or better. Like, we've kind of got our system down, right, of how we shoot a ceremony, and every ceremony is somewhat different. But one of the things I don't usually get great coverage of, like, really good shots. I'll, like, maybe run around on gimbal with a wide lens and get, like, the flower girls. But, like, this is a good shot of the flower girls, and that can be really hard to do. So props to you for that.
Hope. The steadfast love.
That's a really great shot, too. I'd be curious if you're on a gimbal for that. I saw some handheld stuff it looked like as well. So I don't know if you're on gimbal or handheld for that shot of the bride walking down the one right before this, a close-up one. But it was really nice. I really like that shot.
His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The Lord is my portion, says
Really
my
clean
soul.
audio.
Therefore I will hope in him. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. It's good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord.
There you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I think you did have another, what's it, crescendo? Is that it? Anybody who knows music, let me know. But I think that's it. But yeah, I mean, you had that other crescendo I think you could have made use of, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. You used another one here for the first look, or for the first kiss. Sorry, first kiss, not first look. And that's like, yeah, that's what we as wedding filmmakers need to be doing. You can get so much more emotional impact from that. This shot, like, it works. I think you're handled. There's a little bit of like wobble this way for me. It throws me off a little bit, but not a big deal.
The colors so much deeper. The lights are so much brighter.
That was a cool shot of a spoon. Like, stuff like that can be cool, right? Like, it's a spoon. It's not that interesting, but it looks pretty cool. I don't know what that was, but good. It seems like maybe somebody showed up that wasn't going to or something. I think I saw somebody in mask, so I think this is, you know, during COVID and whatever. But it's a really awesome shot. That last shot of the couple was really good. I like that lens flare and just like their framing.
You're the bird's eye view. I'll see much clearer.
So I think you're using a light. I think I saw it here. I don't know. If this is your light, awesome. If you're not using a light, like, you have some lights, right? Like, there's these string lights that are around, and your shots aren't like terribly underexposed or anything like that. But I think you would just get better separation. I think you do have a light, yeah. So I think this, like, it's, you know, you have maybe two lights. There are parts of the dance floor, for example, that you want to shoot that your lights are hitting and work really well with, and there are parts where it might not work and I might not be hitting them and might not be separating them as much as you need. So I would just be smart about like which areas of the dance floor. And of course, like, sometimes you say, well, okay, you know, maybe the lighting wasn't perfect for this day. Like, dance footage is, to some extent, you set up lights, but you kind of have to take what you can give too, where like you're also after that emotion, and maybe the lighting they're not exactly where you want them to be because they're dancing. You can't direct them around, but yeah, I like some solid shots here. Some that I wish the lighting was a little bit different, but. Dang, there was like the sparkle. I mean, sparkle exit's awesome. Always dangerous. I'm sure we all know that. Like, I've gotten my fair share of, you know, sparks in my scalp and stuff like that. Never feels good. Camera equipment, stuff like that. People have been drinking too much, putting them right in my camera. That looked real close, the one that was down here. So, looks really cool. Yeah. Good job on hopefully not burning your camera. Like, I've definitely yelled at guests and been like, no, move. I really like that shot again. So you're using, you know, having them out of focus. You're focused on everybody watching. I'm guessing that's intentional. But yeah, I really like, you know, you can't have all shots like that, but I do like using shots like that. I think it'd be really cool. Yeah, there's your light. That's got to be yours. Okay, I would end on a different shot. So this isn't a bad shot. There's good emotion in it, but the lighting is, you know, it's a very flat shot in general. There, you know, you have this, like, I think these are sparklers again and maybe some string lights. So that helps, but there's not a whole lot going on them, and that, like, it's very flat on them. And then it's also like you're not really in focus, like you're focused like on her hair, you know what I mean? So I would still include this shot if you like this shot. I might not end on it though. I always have this theory where I'm like, I want to start, like, maybe you set the scene a little bit, like 1 or 2 shots, but I want to start with like my best shots of the couple, and I want to end with one of my best shots of the couple. Like, I want people to intro into the film as like, whoa, that's a really cool shot. Whoa, that couple looks so happy. Whoa, I really, you know, whatever. And I want to leave them with that as well. And of course I want good shots in the middle, but like, I specifically will like save shots to be like, I am ending on this shot. And I really like your logo animation. That is super cool. Big fan. So thank you to Winter Studios for submitting your film. Thank you to everybody else for submitting your film. I think we got through like 5 maybe. This was, not a test by any means. We've been going for an hour and a half, a little bit more. So I'm sure it will always change how much we are able to get in. How many videos in the queue? Probably, let's see, we went through 4 or 5. There's probably around 20 something in the queue, something like that. Although that doesn't include, like, typically when I do these live streams, I get a lot of people submitting at that. So, if you've submitted in the last hour and a half, you'll be added in the queue, so I don't have a number based on that. But we probably had 30, 35 something before this. So slowly working our way through those. Thanks to everybody who submitted. You can find the form to submit right there. I just pasted it in the chat. Fill that out. You can get your films reviewed. You can get your websites reviewed or your pricing guides reviewed by myself and or Jason. We both have plenty of years of experience in the wedding filmmaking world, so just trying to kind of give back and help you guys with things that have worked well for us. I hope you guys found this useful. It was really fun looking at your guys' films. I love the community aspect of this, where we're getting people from the Wedding Film School channel, the Wedding Film School group on YouTube, Wedding Film School group on Facebook, some other Facebook groups and stuff just coming in, helping each other out. Again, like I like being able to review films from people that are part of this community, so that's awesome for me. So submit your stuff at the link that I just pasted in there, and you can get priority on these live streams by becoming a member of the Wedding Film School YouTube channel. Works like Patreon, kind of like that. You get different levels. They start at $4.99, so pretty cheap. Gets you priority in these film reviews, website reviews, pricing reviews, and it gets you some other stuff as well. You can work your way up to our top tier, which gets you a guaranteed every single month, not live stream review, although we'll live stream it if you want, but a personalized private video review of your film, guaranteed once per month. You can just send us a film once per month and we'll put together a video review like this. And of course, you are helping support this channel, creating content, not just our live streams, but content for wedding filmmakers, helping to get you guys better as wedding filmmakers, as business owners, and more, and of course bringing on some awesome guests and stuff like that. So if your film was in here, I would love to hear what you were shooting on. I don't know if anybody who I was reviewing was actually live in the chat right now. So if you do happen to catch this, I'll try to tag you guys or something. I'd love to know what you're filming on. Watch your section. I probably asked you questions as well. Sometimes I want to know, like, what LUT are you using? Some colors were really awesome, stuff like that. So I'd love to hear that. If you did not get your stuff reviewed, but you have submitted in the past or you've submitted during this, you are added to the queue. We keep that list running, so you're not like, you don't have to do it every single time we go live or anything like that. So we work off of that list. So keep an eye out for future live streams. Make sure you guys just subscribe to the channel if you are not. And for wedding filmmaking videos, tutorials, things like that, as a wedding filmmaker, as a business owner, and things along those lines. Let me know if there's anything else that you want to see different in these live streams. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out, for being here. I hope this was helpful to you, and I will see you guys in the next video.